We know Jeb Bush has made no bones at all about his negative view concerning Donald Trump. Mr. Bush has branded him a jerk who he says is trying to insult his way into the presidency and should be called out, he says. Well, now Mr. Bush says if Trump does win the party's nomination, he claims he won't stand a chance against Hillary Clinton.
Trump, I don't believe, is going to be the party's nominee, and if he is, he's going to get crushed by Hillary Clinton, and I wanted to point that out. He said some things that are just outrageous. His views on policy have shifted with the winds. He is a strong supporter until recently of Hillary Clinton, and now he's the front-running candidate for the Republican nomination. So
will Mr. Trump go down in flames or be able to trade his high-rise Trump Tower office for an oval one in Washington? David Hawkins is the senior editor of Roll Call and joins us now. You know, David, with all the eyes now on the Iowa caucus, man, it's coming up in, just 4 weeks. Is the strategy now by some of his rivals to say to Republicans, hey, the guy can't win, it's not going to win in November, so why, throw away your vote?
Yep, that's going to be the tactic. I'm not sure that it's going to work. I was looking at some polling right before I came on here. I think Governor Bush is onto something, but I think he's exaggerating a little bit. The polls would say crushed seems like kind of a strong word. If you look at the average of the last half a dozen polls that have been taken in the last month, Hillary Clinton is ahead by, I think, 4.8 percentage points on average. So that's solid. That's outside what they call the sampling margin of error.
4 points
is
not
crushing.
Yeah, 4 points is that's within the margin of error of a lot of polls. I mean, look, let's take a look at the Fox News poll, the most recent one. It shows a little wider than 4 points. It shows Hillary at 49, Donald at 38%. But, he's been, closing that gap. And you got some other polls like the CNN poll. 49 to 47, basically, or even Rasmussen, 37-36. So basically, they're neck and neck. So even if his rivals try to throw that at him, that he's going to get crushed, the polls don't seem to bear that out right now.
Right. Now, what Governor Bush didn't say is that he's actually, if you take that same average, if you average all the polls together in the last month, he's only about 1.5 points behind. So that's really within the margin of error. Actually, Marco Rubio is a little bit ahead if you average the polls when people are asked to compare to compare the Republicans versus Hillary. So, yes, Trump is lagging a bit farther behind than the other major candidates, but still within striking distance, obviously a long way to go. It is nonetheless an effective technique to say that other guy can't win, but I can.
And does it, put this into people's mind that it could be a possibility or may not be at all, according to some of those polls?
That's exactly right. It does put it into some people's minds. It also is an appeal, actually, in a sort of a strange way. It's going to be an appeal to some of Trump's own voters, because one of Trump's challenges, and his own people know this, and we've been hearing this a lot in the last few weeks, is they're worried, as we go into the Iowa caucuses and in New Hampshire, about actually getting his fans, the people who've come out to his rallies, to actually go to vote. And if they can't prove that he can actually motivate them to not just go to rallies, but to go to these caucuses and to the polls, this lead that we're talking about, these head-to-head matchups won't matter much.
Well, I mean, that could fire them up. They could
exactly.
say, look, this is, no, we're going. I mean, this could really get them going to show their support for their man.
Exactly right. And if he ends up, that ends up not happening, but he wins anyway, then one of the things I'm worried about looking towards the fall, or thinking about a trend that's developing, is that a Trump versus Clinton race could actually be to see some lower turnout than we've seen in the past. We actually went up since the almost tied 2000 election. The three elections after that, 04, 08, and 12, turnout in the mid-50s to the upper 50s. It would be interesting to see whether two very polarizing candidates, Hillary Clinton polarizing on the left, Donald Trump polarizing where he is, would actually end up having many of those people in the middle stay home, and you'd see the turnout in November go down.
Well, you know what Donald would say about that? He would say,
what would he say?
He would say, it's me. Look at the ratings that I brought, to television. Look at all the interest that I brought. He would probably say he's going to bring a whole bunch of new people to the polls in November if he is indeed the nominee. I mean, is that possible? And I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you predict? Do you think?
Oh gosh.
I mean,
can I wait until the New Hampshire primary to predict? I'd like to see how he actually gets his people out. Iowa's different because Iowa's caucuses. I think looking at New Hampshire and South Carolina and seeing how much he's able to translate all this excitement, these rallies. Reporter colleagues of mine say they go to these rallies and they ask people at the rallies, Are you actually going to go and vote for him? And many of them say, I don't know yet. So that's a big challenge for him in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and then have me back on, and then we'll talk about how he'd do in the fall.
Okay, we'll do that. That is going to be what the political pundits and others say is the test. Obviously, what's going to happen in the caucus, whether Cruz will win or Trump will come close or he'll win, and then what will happen in New Hampshire. It's all part of the process that we're watching and trying to sort out. David Hawkins of Roll Call. It's always great to see you, and we'll talk about that more after
Thank you, Eric.
February 10th.